So why does Donald Trump want $350 billion from South Korea? For reals. That's the subject of today's video, as I want to update you guys on the Hyundai situation and US-Korea relations. Check out this headline from Bloomberg. South Korea unable to pay $350 billion in cash under trade pact. And I can't even say this with a straight face because it's so stupid. But this has actually been the discussion all week because Trump's making these outrageous demands, or you could call it extortion, trying to extort South Korea here for $350 billion in cash. And so then one of the bargaining chips then that Korea has on the table is maybe we're going to pull out our plans. Maybe we're going to pause all production on this stuff. Maybe we're not going to give any Americans any jobs, screw you, as South Korea warns U.S. projects remain in limbo without visa fix, because the basic idea is in order to finish construction of, say, the plant in Georgia or other ones, you need specialized workers to come in from Korea to finish said job. And one thing that is really tough right now is to get any Korean worker to want to go to USA, as frankly it's unsafe, let's be frank with you guys. And so this has been a hot topic here in Korea. And also they've been playing kind of the stuff that Trump says on a daily basis. So this is, for example, coming from Trump. Listen to this.
We were for 4 years, actually, but we were never treated very properly by other countries. And we're doing well. We've never done this well. Where previously they paid nothing. We have, as you know, in Japan, it's $550 billion. South Korea's $350 billion now. That's up front.
And that's been the talk, is like Trump's using the language up front, right? The way they've been sort of translating it in Korea, they've been using sort of like prepaid or talking about advance payment, but how do you interpret up front? And this has been the discussion, like this is what Trump wants. And then one official response here, I'll read it to you guys. It says, our position is not a negotiating tactic, okay? That's from the National Security Advisor in Korea. It is objectively and realistically not a level we are able to handle. We are not able to pay $350 billion in cash. Can you believe this discussion is even going on? I mean, I guess under Trump you can believe anything these days because he says all this crazy stuff. But yes, he's really trying to get this much money. It's actually kind of interesting because the Korea, one of the leaders, also released a statement, and this is basically more of a Korean saying. I asked my wife, I had to translate this one. It translates to something like your demands are ridiculous. It's kind of like a ghost trying to eat raw grain or raw rice. And you're like, what the heck does that mean? I hadn't heard this one before. So basically what it is like if you imagine a ghost is, of the ghost realm, spiritual realm, so they're not physical, and they try to eat basically, human food, like say unprocessed rice. But even that, it would be difficult for humans to eat because humans would have to, process it, cook it, whatever. And so then the idea of a ghost trying to eat this unprocessed rice or raw rice, unhusked rice, is absurd. And essentially there are limits to the amount of absurdity that we want to do with Trump, that Trump's basically crazy. And this has been the debate in Korea then, is like, okay, which party in Korea is gonna best handle Trump, right? So one party is gonna say, well, you need to be stronger against Trump and you gotta make sure that Trump signs something, that kind of thing. And I'm sure you guys know this, that it's hard to get Trump to sign anything, and even if he does, he doesn't stick to his word, right? You understand this. There's also been some discussion and people are like, you know what? If Trump is like threatening us, these kind of things, we best be protecting ourselves, protecting our own sovereignty, these kind of stuff. Because sometimes the Americans will say, well, we got our military over there and protecting you, et cetera. And then part of the discussion is, well, maybe we should just buy our own weapons. Maybe we should produce our own weapons and basically be without USA, make our own alliances, new partnerships, et cetera. So I talk with you guys about this, and it's hard to talk about because it's laughable, because like demanding the money that would basically drain all of Korea's reserves. It's nearly the size of the Korea budget, like the amount of money that he's asking for it. That's why they use like an older phrase of like, this is like a ghost trying to eat grain. It's like a ridiculous thing. And I guess if you want to translate to the American phrase, it'd be like, if Trump farts or has golden showers in the forest, does it make any noise, right? like it's just a stupid argument, right? Do you see what I'm saying here? So ghost eating grain, if that's a new one, if you guys haven't heard that one, I hadn't heard it when I asked my wife about that one. They also showed Trump routinely on the news, and they were talking about how he's trying to, invade Portland. This is actually my hometown. Listen to how they portray Trump
활동 중심지로 지목한 겁니다.
These are paid agitators, and they're very dangerous for our country. And when we go there, if we go to Portland, we're going to wipe them out.
최근 우익 청년 활동과 암살에 이어 이민 단속국을 겨냥한 총격까지 발생하면서 미국 내 진영 갈등은 깊어지고 있습니다. 하지만 트럼프 대통령은 여전히 강경 행보를 이어가고 있습니다.
I hate my opponent. The lesson of Charlie's life is that you should never underestimate what one person can do with a good heart and the will to fight, fight, fight. Have to fight.
And true story. When I showed that clip of the Korean news to my wife, she was just like, "And fight!" Like she was making fun of Trump. So the reason why I'm showing you guys that is when they show Trump, they actually show his actual words, and people can see for themselves that the guy's unstable, lunatic, and just the way he talks is completely improper. And he's talking about fighting all the time, right? So the U.S. looks really unstable. And again, in Korea, they're talking about how close do we want to be the U.S. or not, and each party's kind of jostling over, oh, I could deal with Trump better, oh, I could deal with Trump better. I also want to show you guys what's going on in Georgia, as the governor there actually recently took some questions from reporters. So have a listen to this.
Governor Kemp, other than the 300 South Korean nationals that have been repatriated, 175 workers were arrested on the Hyundai mega site. ICE says that they were here undocumented or working illegally. What's your message to local contractors who have been raising concerns for years that they've been left out of this billion-dollar economic development project in favor of cheaper illegal labor?
Okay. So this right here actually, guys, is we could call it a memory test or a cognitive test, but we're talking about two different sets of workers. And oftentimes when I see comments from, maybe local people in Georgia who are on more of the MAGA side, they always jump to the conclusion that everyone must be illegal because Trump said so. But actually the reporter legitimately asked the question that there are two different groups of workers, and I just wanted to make this clear. Listen to it again.
Governor Kemp, other than the 300 South Korean nationals that have been repatriated, 175 workers were arrested on the Hyundai mega site.
And I know it's a lot of words to listen all at once, but basically she's saying other than the 300 and so Koreans that basically went home, repatriated, they went back to Korea, there's still, say, 175 that, under ICE detention, and basically were they illegal? And so I'm bringing this stuff up because if you think that, I guess everyone's from, I guess either two places, USA and not USA. If you want to make your world that simple, then it's easy for people to get confused on said things. And this is sort of why we have to always make this clear that the Koreans who were working at the Hyundai plant, they were specialized workers, technicians, et cetera, come in to finish the plant doing technical work that Americans couldn't do. And then ultimately they went home back to Korea. And even before going back home, Trump was like, hey, please come back. Don't you want to work for us, et cetera. However, this is a different group. The Koreans are a different group than, say, what sounds like more construction workers that may or may not have been working illegally. I don't have the data on from which countries. I just know it's maybe around 175 or so. Just want you guys to hear it for yourself. But I want to make that really clear that there's a couple different sets of workers doing different jobs.
Well, I don't know the specifics of the people that, that were arrested or whatnot. You need to talk to ICE and the feds about that. I can just tell you the unemployment rate in this part of the state and our state overall is a point below the national average. So people that are wanting to work in Georgia, they can work.
There are Korean workers that were there to do technical work, talking about the Hyundai plant, and they came in temporarily to do the work and then go home. That's the basic idea of it. They had B visas and ESTA visas. You can look that stuff up if you like. And then there's another set of workers who sound like construction workers, and I think many of these are being held by ICE, and we actually don't know the details on the other group of workers. The Koreans all went home, actually, as you guys know we talk about on the channel. And then there was one Korean who stayed in detention because I think that person's trying to get like residency in the USA or something like that. So they're going to go through the legal system. It was just reported they just got out on bail, I think it was, and they were in detention for 22 days. So I'll give you guys updates if I hear anything on that. My wife said I think she heard something that like he might have posted bail. But the real concern is, just to make sure it's clear, is what's going on with the workers still at ICE. Also want to make sure it's clear, it sounds like all the Korean workers had visas. They literally flew from Korea, entered in, the airport, et cetera, and were at the Hyundai plant again temporarily. And that's one group of workers. The other group, the ones that work in construction, I just don't know the details, as no one's saying. And this also want to make it clear whenever we talk about this stuff. It sounds like Hyundai, which also kind of makes sense, standard operating procedures, when they were building the plant in Georgia, they would have worked with local U.S. contractors, and then whatever contractors that the Hyundai plant was working with hired whoever they're going to hire in terms of the construction work. And then again, the Koreans from Korea were flying in temporarily and then leaving to do the more technical and high, engineering type of work and stuff like that. So they would have all had visas. So two different type of workers. It gets complicated because we're talking about just so many people all having the same time. I just wanted you to hear it for yourself. And then the latest thing that's going on right now is that in Korea, they're going to have a big Asia Economic Forum. There's going to be a lot of world leaders coming. I think even Xi from China is going to come. And maybe Trump's going to come also. I think last I heard he said he was coming, but you don't know with Trump until maybe the day before he'll tweet out something, oh, I'm going to come or I'm not going to come. I don't know. But I think he is invited, I do think. If Trump does end up coming to Korea, he'll probably talk with Xi, and then we have this headline here. Xi is chasing a huge concession from Trump, opposing Taiwan independence. So again, that's from China. So China's President Xi may come to Korea, and then obviously, President Lee from here in Korea will be there also, and I'll be curious if they do like a three-way talk, two-way talk, or whatever. And the thing with Trump, he's just so unpredictable and untrustworthy. But the world does have to deal with this stuff, as you guys know, and Trump's not going to be around forever. And for all we know, Xi may be like, hey, since Trump's not going to be around forever, he'll try to force Trump into some, terrible situation from the U.S. perspective, because from Trump's point of view, he's trying to make a TV show and get deals as quickly as possible. And China has a lot more patience than, say, Trump. And so they may make these basically crazy demands, and we'll see. So that's my thoughts on this stuff. I'd like to hear yours. What do you think Trump wants us with this $350 billion in cash? And if Korea says like, hey, we just can't give you the cash, how do you think Trump's going to respond? That's what's going on, and I'll catch you all in the next video.